in,
Good to go.
and
Yeah,
we will
no problem.
start the meeting.
Good to go now.
Okay, thank you, Steph. So, hello, welcome, Bob and David. We're just going to go over a few first items on the agenda, and then we'll have a listen to what you're presenting tonight. So, can I have someone move to approve the agenda? But first, I will ask, are there any late items to be introduced? No? Okay, thank you. So can someone move the recommendation that the Parks, Trails, and Greenways Advisory Committee approve the agenda for the November 7th, 2023 meeting? Ben, thank you. Seconded. Jeremy, thank you. So that all in favor? Great, thanks. Unanimous. Number 2, adoption of the minutes. Hopefully some people got a chance to look them through. Did anyone notice any errors or omissions? No? Look good? Okay, great. Can I have someone move that the minutes of the Parks, Trails, and Greenways Advisory Committee meeting held July 13th, 2023 be adopted? Rob, thank you. Seconded. Jeremy, thank you. All in favor? Who's in favor? Okay, thank you. And let me get on my other screen. Steph, are there any public comments before we move to the delegation? No, and we are not hearing your audio again for
No,
some.
there are no.
Oh, there. Okay, maybe you just mouth no.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. So we are at number 4 in the agenda, delegations, and 4.1 is the proposed sauna at Seymour Bay Beach, and David Ryan is going to speak to that. You have the floor, David.
Hi, everyone. First off, thanks for taking the time to listen and consider what we're proposing. I won't go on too long, but basically what we would like to do is set up a sauna down at the park near Seymour, not directly in the park. There's an area section just to the left of the sign that's kind of like unused. We only need, say, 10, 15 square meters of an area. The idea would be that we would be booking slots in the sauna for people to essentially hot and cold dip. So you'd be using the sauna. People have the option then to walk down to the beach and to jump in the ocean. We think it'll be a great benefit to the island and the community. My fiance already does a lot of cold dipping here at Tunstall Bay, and there's a group of people that join her. So I know there are fans on the island already. It has a lot of health benefits too, regarding stress, blood circulation, aches and pains, anxiety, building up immunity. So there are numerous benefits to it. We're happy, obviously, to pay for the use of the land or donate money towards whatever it may be, or pay whatever fees have to be. We're not looking for anything for free. That's just the ideal area that BC would be the best fit, and a lovely experience for anybody visiting the island or people on the island, especially during the winter months. Be something to do, to get out and about in the morning and have a lovely sauna and a cold dip. And then we're looking at doing it, say, over the weekends and long weekends. 3 slots a day is the idea. Maximum people per time is 6 to 8 people, so there won't be a huge amount of cars. It will be a wood burning stove that operates it. So obviously we won't operate through the months where there are fire restrictions. So it'll be primarily a winter and spring operation. If you have any questions, that's just a brief outline of what we were looking to do.
Thank you. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions about this proposal for David? Sue Ellen?
Thank you for the introduction there, and I saw the photos that you sent around earlier.
Oh yes, I'm glad you got them.
Yeah, and did you, when you say we, who is we? Are you a community group or?
No, myself and my fiance.
Okay, and are you thinking about running this as a volunteers or as a business or?
I know as a business, we will be running it and probably employ somebody locally to cover some shifts.
Thank you.
And sorry, Ben, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just can you clarify a little bit more? I had a hard time from the pictures seeing exactly where it would be, and you said that it's not, is it in the park or is it in land adjacent to the park?
So if you have the pictures that I sent forward, Ben, I took it purposely to show the area. So there's looking directly at the park, you have the big kind of boulders kind of at the entrance, and then you have the actual sign for Seymour Park.
Okay.
Just to the left of that sign is a little area of unused ground.
Okay.
It would be the perfect place because it's easy walking distance. We don't want to intrude on the park itself, for the public. So it'd be just a little area there. It's a cedar. Now that I think about just more of the stuff would be around it. It's a cedar wooden barrel sauna, so it would fit in perfectly with the aesthetics of the area. And outside of that, then we put down like wood chippings around the area, and a little seating area. And probably a little wooden changing area for people to change it out of.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
I have a question. What is the substrate on the ground there right now?
At the moment, the whole area is fairly kind of rocky, so it's kind of like crushed stone area. There's one or two boulders that might need to be moved just to leave a clearing.
Okay. It's not green vegetation. It's crushed gravel.
Correct. Yeah, all that area there in general is kind of solid rock.
Okay.
And it's built up against a little raised. I think the developer behind there has built a platform, and there's kind of like it kind of backs onto like a wall up onto just below his platform.
Mm-hmm. Carla?
Yeah, I was just wondering if the sauna is movable and the other things that you're proposing, and how long you would want to leave them there each year. And yeah, if you
yes, it's not a permanent structure. The original idea was we wanted to get one that's mobile on a trailer, but then those implications about the trailer. So basically, it would be you can build them to your own spec, and they come in and just drop them on whatever area you have cleared for them. So it can be removed again. Ideally, moving it for 3 months, we wouldn't be using it. Can be done. Ideally, it'd be great to leave it there until it's ready for use again the following season. But it is movable. Everything that would be there would be movable. It'd be just a little drop-in barrel sauna and a little wooden, like 3 meter squared little shed that people can change in privacy.
And you mentioned that there would be an employee for some shifts. So would someone always be there when it was reserved for use? So
correct. So
and where they're just like standing on site, or what's that?
They'd be taking part basically. The idea is either my fiance, myself, or whoever we choose to help out would be taking part in the actual event itself. So showing people, because some people need a little assistance to jump in cold water. So just showing them how to. My fiance does a lot of breath work, so she can show them how to breathe through and to help get in and out, and just kind of like there's a pause period of like 15 minutes between each session to not get back into the sauna. So the person there would be involved and just helping the overall ambience of the place. So it would be shifts. So it would be 2-hour slots, more than likely probably like 3 slots a day for 6 to 8 people, depending on 6 to 8 is the max. If there's less, there's less.
So it's almost like booking an experience. You have a leader who's going to take you through the sauna and the cold water.
Yeah, for the first timers, and there's people that have done this. They do it every weekend.
Yeah.
I know my fiance has gone to a number of them as well. There's some people that don't need to be brought through it, and there's people that would like to kind of be assisted on what they're supposed to be doing. So that's the idea of having either myself or somebody locally that is also understands how it all operates.
Nice.
So we would obviously manage the wood stove and the facilities as well. So.
And would there'd need to be a wood pile adjacent, I suppose?
Yeah, I plan on say at the back of the as mentioned, it's kind of like a wall at the back of that area. So behind the sauna will be having a small stack of wood available.
Would you need to enclose it in any way, like another structure or fencing? Because it could get nicked pretty easily, I would imagine.
I'd like to think that it would need to be fenced in. To be honest, I think people would be badly off if they went to go stealing a little bit of wood overnight. But I didn't plan on it, to be honest. I just kind of, if that happens, it happens. And like we also have a shed here at our house with wood, so we don't have to be having the full amount there all the time. We can bring some down during the week if we need. So it won't take like if it's only operating on 2-hour slots 3 times a day, it doesn't need a huge amount once it's to temperature. Sorry, my dog is 2 seconds. Just let him out. Sorry about that. The joys.
No problem. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Chuck?
Yes. Hi, David.
Hi,
I
Chuck.
just wondered, so this would be like a user pay. Would you be inviting like a membership so people would maybe do it once every other week, or?
Yeah, we can look at basically we'll be setting up a website where people can book online in advance. They possibly might be able to book out a full day, say if it was a group, like for example, the municipality have a wellness day that they want to take care of or whatever. So there will be all those sort of options. Trying to figure out a way where possibly might be able to do like a better rate for Bowen Island people that live on the island, just to kind of as a little gift. So we're looking at all those sort of things as well.
So it sounds like you'll be advertising off island then, to attract off islanders.
I hope that a lot of it will come from on island, because I do know there's a fairly big community of people that are already doing it here just without the use of the sauna, and the fact that we're not going to be, it's not a 7 days a week thing, it's 3 or 4 days a week, 3 days, just weekends and long weekends, so there won't be huge availability for a huge amount of off islanders, if you get me, because it's not going to be a round the clock type of situation.
What are your hours that you anticipate that it would be available?
I suppose trial and error to see what people kind of like. I know some people are in the, would like to be like out at the crack of dawn before they start work. So it kind of see how it kind of goes first. Like it would be maybe say a 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Then an hour break. Say then from say 10 or 11 to 12 or 1, and then an evening one as well.
And just one other question about parking.
Yes.
Does it mean that you would have to develop more parking stalls, or is there sufficient parking in the site that you're proposed?
Down at the back of the golf course, there is a huge section for parking. And the fact that we're not going to be operating through the summer months or the burn season months means it wouldn't be at full capacity like it would be during the very good weather. But there's a big area down there for parking, and max cars that we're going to have there at any one time is 8, because of the amount of people. And I would imagine that not everybody's going to come in 1 car each, but worst case scenario, 8 cars.
Jeremy?
Yeah, is this David, is this a wet or a dry sauna, like a Swedish dry sauna or a Finish wet sauna.
The Finnish wet sauna.
Just to follow up on the parking question, I believe all that parking is actually belongs to the golf course. I don't think it's part of the municipal park. Have you spoken to them about the plan and are they supportive?
I haven't spoken to them. From my understanding, when I popped into the hall, is they are kind of parking ins at there's kind of like a ditch that runs down on the golf course car park, and then the rest is public to the beach. I haven't spoken to them yet. I did plan on it because it also would complement the golf course nicely. You know, on a Saturday or a Sunday, someone's going in for a sauna and they want to pop in for some brunch afterwards. You know, I'm sure it'll benefit them as much as anything. That's one of the reasons we'd like to kind of do it in a spot like that, where it kind of complements the whole experience for people that, oh, we can go down there, walk in and walk up and have some food and a drink afterwards or whatever it might be. So I haven't, but the plan is definitely to talk to them.
And have you spoken to the neighbors at Seymour Bay? Because I'm just thinking, you know, as you said, some people like to do this at the crack of dawn, and you know, it's not always a very quiet activity because it's very cold and it, you know, shouts and screams. Like, what is the support that you found so far in that neighborhood?
Haven't reached out to anybody yet because I want to talk to you guys first about the possibility. And I didn't want to go, you know, bothering people first off or getting people's hopes up if it's possible or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't spoken to a center on you guys.
Okay, one of our roles is, as you know, we're representing Bowen Islanders and their use and enjoyment of parks. So
Yep.
that would be something to look into to find out if the people who would be in earshot would be disturbed by you know, a lot of early morning activity.
Yep, fair.
Anyone else with anything? Okay, thank you so much. That was really interesting, and yeah, we'll be talking about it at a later date.
Okay, no problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
David.
Take
Thank
care.
you, David.
Bye-bye.
So Claudia, I don't know if you can see this. We've been working on the side. Bob doesn't have any sound, it sounds like.
Oh no.
But Bob, can you speak and see if your audio works? Oh, he can't hear me say that. Sorry.
I was
I'm
questioning
typing him
that too. I'm
right
like,
now. We're
don't-
not clear if it's his microphone or the
Okay, can you email him?
say something. I'm texting him through the
Okay.
chat.
Okay. Yeah, if we could at least get the presentation,
We can't just say something so we know.
we
it's
won't
on.
be able to ask questions. Well, we can in the chat.
Claudia, could somebody who has a speakerphone on their smartphone, if they could call Bob and then Bob could talk and
Yeah.
then they could use the speaker part of the phone and everybody else could hear him.
Sure.
He can't hear us, so it's
Well, I can hold the phone
Yeah,
close.
he'll be able to hear. Yeah.
Do you want to do that, or
see.
shall I do that?
no, I'll do that. I've been asking him to phone
Okay.
a few times, so I think he's kind of multi. Yeah, Sue Ellen was all in there as well, and then I kind of went off the group to show respect for David's presentation.
Do you have his cell number? Because I do. I have it. I can give it to you, Steph, if
Okay.
you're going to.
I'm just
Okay.
going to step away
Put it in
while
the chat so we don't,
we get our technical difficulties set up. I'll just be right back. Hold on.
Okay.
I have Bob's number. Do you want me to just call him?
Do you want to do this then? Okay, sure.
Yeah, I just have his number here, so.
Okay, great.
Takes a village. Phone's off.
Didn't work?
No, it's his phone is off. It's probably not do not disturb because he's in a meeting right now. Try it again just in case, but
Is he looking like Bob? Phone. Just phone, Bob. Oh, he's looking for his phone. I put my number in the chat. Come on, Bob. Oh, okay. Now he's putting his number in. Sorry, Carla, I'm gonna beat you to it.
Yeah, that's no problem.
He's got 4 numbers first and then 3 numbers. I don't know if this is right. Okay.
I'll text it to you if you want.
Hi there, this is Bob.
Wrong number.
Wrong number. Okay, thank you.
I sent it to you, Steph.
Is somebody calling him right now?
Who's calling him?
Steph, I think.
Are you calling him,
Right.
Steph?
I'm calling him, but he says he's left his phone in New York. So he's given another number
Oh,
in, which is just directly to me, but it's not in service. Yeah.
this is where if we all knew sign language, it would come in handy.
Okay, we're gonna have to move on. It's 7:28. So the number he's giving me is some woman's answering. It's not him. Oh,
Okay. So we're gonna
hi,
have
Stephanie
to.
is speaking. Oh, there he is.
Oh.
Hello, Stephanie.
Hi, Bob.
All right.
Oh my gosh. So sorry, I didn't ruin your Zoom meeting.
No, it's
I know
okay.
it's really disruptive when the stuff doesn't work.
That's okay. Can you guys hear him?
Yes.
Everyone say hi to Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Everybody, thank
Hey,
you.
Okay,
Bob.
we can hear you.
Good to see you.
So sorry, I've
okay.
only used Zoom one other time. So I practiced this morning as well, and yeah, everything was working, but now it's
Yeah, no, it's technology. There's no blame.
Happens to everybody.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Why don't you just go ahead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't
Let's
you
see your
tell us?
presentation.
okay. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen. Hopefully I can get this to work. Can you all see that?
Yep.
Okay. So the reason I'm here tonight is basically because of a sign that went up this summer, and it's kind of sparked some concerns for me, a couple concerns. One was there's some disagreement over what the beach is called, and also just the form of the sign itself. And I just wanted to start by talking a little bit about myself and introduce myself. I live in a little cottage at the top of the beach trail. It's been in our family since my grandmother bought it in 1970, and my parents moved in 1973, and then I came here when I was 3 days old, straight from the hospital. And the reason I'm telling you all this is because, I've got a long history here in this neighborhood and with this beach. And so when the sign went up this summer, it was a little bit concerning because it says a name that we don't really use for the beach. And so those are the main issues. But before we start, I just wanted to comment and remember Roman Ibstepsky, who is also a neighbor in this neighborhood. And he was the one who originally painted the tops of the fence posts the bright colors. And so he's sort of interwoven into the history of this beach as well. And although we have a different perspective on the name of the beach, I just want to say that I mean no disrespect to Roman's memory or his family. We just disagree on the name of the beach. So so I'm just going to change over to this, which is a timeline that I prepared, kind of going back as far as I can remember, and my family can remember, and my neighbors can remember. So it all started for us here in basically like 1970, but a lot of the neighbors we know were here before us. And before that, I don't know, there might be more information about the beach. There might be another name for the beach that I don't know of. And I would love to hear if anybody knows anything that precedes, say, 1963. But that's as far as I can go back, because that's all I know. So it all started for us in 70. And we always, everybody in the neighborhood called the beach by Blue Water Beach. And that was very similar to many of the other beaches on the west side of Bowen Island and on other parts of Bowen Island. You know, the names of the beaches reflected the communities and the residents that lived in the neighborhoods that used the beaches. And it wasn't until going forward into the 2000s, which is my first recollection of like anybody sort of using the name Crayola. And it was always sort of a nickname, I thought. And I just found this, I guess it's like a flyer from the Chamber of Commerce from 2003, just sort of like a tourist directory for tourists. And even in that flyer, it lists some of the local beaches on the island. And, you know, you can see number 11 there was Blue Water Beach. So I just wanted to sort of try and picture a little bit of the history of the beach. And actually, it's only, you can probably even see on that timeline your first trip to this beach, and maybe think about what they called it when you went there. But it's only sort of in recent history that we changed over and started to call it Crayola Beach. Okay, I'm going to change back. So that's just a slide of the, and then I don't know if everybody's been to the beach, but this is sort of how it looks. It's a really, a really beautiful, rough-hewn beach. There's not a lot of development down there. You can barely even see any other houses, and that's really part of its charm and its beauty for me. And I think for a lot of people, it's a real escape from you know, the hustle and bustle of life and the branding and the advertising that we're always exposed to in our daily lives. And it's a neutral space, and it's an incredibly beautiful place. And that's sort of, I think, everybody's experience of it. It's a real universally beautiful place to go to. Just the many moods of the beach in different seasons. And then this is partially why I really disagree with the name Crayola for the beach, because like words really do have meanings. And this was just a Google search that I did this morning. Just, you can try yourself if you type Crayola into a search engine. This is what you see. And to me, that's really a totally different experience than what I have going to the beach. So, these are sold in many, shops all across the country and around the world. And I'm no scholar on the Crayola Corporation, but I did look it up, and the meaning of Crayola is derived from a French word, which cray means chalk, and ola, which apparently means olaginous. So it's sort of like olaginous chalk. And Crayola is a corporation. They're based in Pennsylvania. And I've been to that part of Pennsylvania. It's very beautiful. It's very pastoral, post-industrial. But really, it doesn't have a lot to do with the character of a little beautiful beach on the Salish Sea. And so whenever I see that sign, it just always kind of clashes with my experience of the beach, and I think it's not the best fit. And so, yeah, we have some concerns, and I'm not speaking just for myself. I know there's a lot of neighbors that share my same point of view. But I think that, a name is really important. And, in a name, there is local identity and historical heritage. And I think that it's really important to value, the natural spaces that we have on the island, and be conscious of the responsibility of naming them, even for future generations. Like, I know that that beach hasn't really changed much in my lifetime. I think that it's really, really exciting when people find this beach. Like, I spend a lot of time working in my driveway. It's kind of crazy out there, and I talk to a lot of people that come to Bowen for the first time, and you can definitely see their excitement when they discover this beach. And I think part of that joy and part of that excitement is that it is such a little sort of like a little gem, that you might find at the end of the road. And so I think there's a real clash between the name and the actual experience of that beach. And I was sort of looking at the Bowen Island map, and I really wanted to comment on sort of the function of the sign at the top of the trail. And I think it's really helpful that you've kind of categorized the community beaches, which are the really large, high volume beaches that can handle a lot of visitors. And then there's also the neighborhood beaches, which are smaller. They're more used by the residents of the different neighborhoods around the island. And I think it's a really, really important distinction. And although, we never turn anybody away from any of the beaches, some of them can handle more crowds than others. And I think that the signage that went up on the beach is maybe more appropriate for the bigger beaches, the ones that can handle the bigger crowds. And I just wondered if the council would consider maybe having a second tier of signage, which is a little bit more understated and maybe signals that this is a neighborhood beach. Just an idea, just throwing it out there. And I just, the sign that's out there, it's been at the top of the beach trail for many years, and it's not a beautiful sign. It's a big rusting steel pole. And I took a walk around the neighborhood, and I noticed that even a lot of the older street signs, when they put them up, they took the care to paint the aluminum backs green, and they use wooden posts. And to me, that signals really, really a sensitivity to the environment that they're going into. They kind of disappear, and yet still they inform us of where we are. I was up on the Sunshine Coast this summer, and I noticed that, they have huge expansive beaches in the Roberts Creek area, and they probably have much higher volumes of visitors, and yet the signs are, they're kind of, I'm not suggesting that we use a sign like this, but they're a little bit more understated. They use natural materials, kind of cute. So yeah, that concludes my my thoughts, and I really want to thank everybody for their time and for giving me time to speak about my experience in the neighborhood here, and I would be happy to answer anybody's questions if they have any questions.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm just trying to get my
Want to
gallery.
unshare your screen, Bob?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
That would help. And I can see who has a question.
Shoot, yeah, sure.
So cool.
Sure.
Okay, great. Thank you. Does anyone have a question for Bob? Chuck?
Yes, Bob, I just wondered if you know of any community consultation that was done before the name was changed to Crayola Beach?
No, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know of any community consultation. And I know these names, they kind of evolve organically. And I think that there was just sort of two parallel tracks. There was the neighborhood and the residents that live here. And then I know that a lot of the real estate agents started using Crayola in their ads. So maybe it was the fact that it was in print, it sort of amplified that name. And I think that eventually the people that called it Blue Water Beach became a minority in the community, and it sort of, as the other name was amplified. But no, I don't know of any community consultation, and that's why I wanted to speak tonight, because I know that we haven't really been very vocal about it. We always thought it was just a nickname, and then until the sign goes up, and then it kind of becomes real. It becomes really real. And then I looked at the bow map, and I saw that. So it's one thing to have a nickname, but then it's another thing to be on like Google Maps or sort of internationally published maps. So.
Jeremy?
Yeah, the only concern I can see is in relation to calling EMTs or the ambulance or anybody for an emergency. Any ambiguity in the name of the beach will be an issue for them. I think we ran into this between Pebbly Beach and Pebble Beach, which was an issue that never ultimately got resolved, but it does ultimately become an important issue in terms of at least clarifying what the end name is. Having a couple of names makes it a bit awkward. Whichever one you I have no objection to it being called Blue Water Beach either. It's just whatever the ambient clarifying the name for everybody.
Yeah, I agree.
Ben?
Thanks, Bob. I appreciate that, man. This seems like another opportunity for us, maybe as a committee and Bowen Island as a municipality, to connect with Indigenous communities and see if there's any precedent or name that existed for our geographical features that we can incorporate into common use. You know, I mean, I think that there's work involved in that, and I recognize that it complicates things, but maybe, you know, Blue Water Beach is what it's been called since Bob was a kid living there, but it's possible that there were pre-existing names that referred to that area. And maybe it would be a good opportunity for us to look into to those, you know, and certainly, you know, without playing my cards too hard here, certainly more than having a beach named after a corporation.
Yeah, Ben. I mean, I totally agree with that. I
Sorry, Steph, could you
really
hold the
just
phone
did-
a little closer? We're having a bit of trouble. Thank you. Go ahead, Bob.
Oh yeah, and like I said, you know, I'm open to learning more about the context of this beach, like even the historical context. I'm just going back as far as my memory allows me to and permits me to, and from my own observations. But yeah, I think that it's a really good suggestion and something to take a look at.
We did have a similar situation, as Jeremy mentioned, the Pebbly versus Pebble Beach at Cape Roger Curtis. And that's probably, I'm guessing, 6 or 8 years ago. Sue Ellen probably knows. And we have asked the Squamish First Nation to work with us to rename Pebble Beach at Cape Roger Curtis, and it's been an ongoing process, and so I love the idea, Ben. It also might not come to fruition. Sue Ellen.
Sure, I'll just jump in with some history. I'm looking at the this is a 2001 beach inventory where we went. This was the former Bowen Island Parks and Rec Commission, and before this advisory committee, and we went all around to the different beach accesses. This one at that time was called number 56. They all had numbers. They were on a map, and we were going to each of them. And but there were 3 named as Blue Water. This was number 56, Blue Water, end of Windjammer Crayola Trail. So the name has, I appreciate your timeline, and I can find evidence for it too in my records from those days. It wasn't Blue Water Beach back then, according to our notes. At that time, we did consult the neighbors, but it was kind of like people who had the time to come out that one weekend or could write in, and naming wasn't the big point. So it was more the categories that you referred to, and that was the point of that work at that time. But anyway, thanks very much. I didn't really have a question. I just wanted to contribute that, since it seems like we're starting a discussion. Maybe I shouldn't have done that.
All right, I think that's my job to keep things on time. Thank you so much, Bob. And
I think Carla had one more thing. I don't know.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, sorry.
Okay. Anyone else pressing to ask one last thing? No. Okay. Thank you very much, Bob, for your time tonight.
All right.
Bob,
Thanks so much for your time, everybody.
Bob.
Okay, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now I just have to find my other screen. There we go. Okay, 5, council referral, 5.1, Grafton Lake parking and multi-use path. And Carla is going to speak to us about this. And perhaps if I'd like there to be time if any of the other members of the committee were there and had any thoughts. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Carla. Thanks.
Okay, I'm just going to share my screen quickly, and this is basically just to share a couple of photos from the walkabout. This is a council referral from Island Garden Estates, and John Reed put a proposal into council to build a parking lot for the Art Renison Nature Reserve. This is basically and also to build a multi-use pathway. I think that basically they want to build the parking lot here, which is along Grafton Road. The dam is over here, and then this would be the turnoff for the gardens there, the Grafton Commons there, and the lake is over on this side. When we went on the walkabout, we looked at a couple of different areas, and so I've marked those on the map. This is the proposed parking lot from John Reed that marked the red star, and then we looked at all these other sites along the way here. So I'll just show you the photos. This is a photo from across the road looking into where the parking would be. This is site A. So I'll just kind of float through these pictures. So there's site A, site B, and site C. So John Reed's proposal, in that proposal, he would pay for and build a parking lot. However, with the subdivision that was done, the municipality does have $10,000 in like a bond that we could potentially just build a parking lot ourselves. If John Reed does the other parking lot, the one that he's proposed to council, we would give that money back. So those are kind of the two options. I did look at these sites with Public Works after the walkabout. And so the B and C sites, I think if we took kind of some of the fill from site B and put it over to site C, we figure that within that $10,000 budget, we could potentially put angle parking with about the same amount of parking, about 10 or 11 sites. It should be noted that along here, because the multi-use pathway is going in, all of the parking that currently exists along Grafton Road will not be there anymore. So it is used fairly often. And we did look at another site up in the corner here. I didn't get a photo of it, so my apologies. But this one has a ditch in front of it, so we would require a culvert to at least drive up into there. I'm a little bit less confident that we could provide as many spots there, but it is another possibility that we can look at. I know I'm going to stop sharing my screen unless anybody needs to see anything else on that. And I was going to let Chuck take over, maybe if he could, because he was on the walkabout and I know he prepared that Excel spreadsheet for us. Thank you very much, Chuck. And yeah, if you want to take over, go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I was impressed with the proposed site that John Reed would build, but then I thought about the alternate site. I think it was A, or maybe it was C, closer to sort of the natural trail down to the beach, and I was attracted to that site initially, especially thinking that, like you said, we could maybe widen the shoulder and put angle parking in, or perpendicular parking even. But then I thought we should really consider all of the different variables that we can think of that would help us make a decision on which site is more viable. And that's why I came up with that spreadsheet, and I tried to put down all the different variables that I thought were important considerations. Like John Reed mentioned, well, let's maybe start with number one. And I don't know how many people have the spreadsheet in front of them, or if I should just do a screen share. or
You want me
somebody.
to do the share, Bob? Do you have a couple of monitors?
I have 2 monitors.
Yes, if you could share your screen, that would be great.
Okay. So it's been a while since I shared the screen share, but I think it's this one right here. Share. I think. Oh, you can see it, but I can't. Is that how it works?
There it is.
Okay, perfect. All right, so maybe I'll just expand this. All right, so the different, there we go. The parking configuration.
I'm
really,
sorry, Chuck,
Go.
is there a Zoom button on that app you're using
Oh,
so we can
yeah, okay, it's too small for you? Okay, no
small
problem.
to see, even with
yeah.
glasses?
How's this?
That's getting great. Yeah. Oh, there
Okay.
you go. Thank you.
Okay, all right, perfect. So as far as the parking configuration goes, I think that's important actually, because when we consider other factors, like I'm going to just jump to safety issues. When it comes to people who are mobility challenged, shall we say, for them to get out where there is potentially traffic from a growing number of residents, that can be a safety issue. And perhaps when pets get out of the car and there's traffic, that can be a safety issue as well. So in that sense, perhaps the Grafton Road parking is a safer area, a safer lot. And with respect to the construction, I don't know what the cost would be, but it could easily be over $10,000. So there would be, I think, some cost from the municipality if we chose the Forster Road site C. With respect to the ecological impact, that's where you could argue that there's more ecological impact of using the Grafton Road lot site than the Forster Lane site. So John pointed out, of course, that the few bushes that have to be removed isn't really significant. So, but that is an issue that some people might consider important. As far as the sight line goes, and I think, yeah, the 6A, the sight line is slightly problematic for the Forster Lane parking lot or parking stalls, only because when you're going eastbound, when you're going east, there is a bend in the road there, and it's maybe 180 meters to that bend. So if somebody's coming rather quickly, it could be a bit of a safety issue. Whereas the Grafton Road site is another 200 meters removed, 150 or whatever. And so it's safer in that sense. People can see traffic further away and then they can turn more safely in that sense. The neighborhood acceptance. Obviously, John wants the Grafton Road lot because it's away from neighbors, and yeah, you'd have more opposition from neighbors if we chose the Forster Lane site. Then there's the Harding Road parking, and I think that they will park at Harding Road regardless of. Some people will park at Harding Road regardless of the part wherever the proposed parking is established, just because they like that trailhead, they like the section of trail that they walk their dogs or just hike. It's very, very scenic, and it doesn't come close to any to Grafton Road. So I think people will still park there. So I don't think that that's going to, perhaps some people will park at the Grafton Road site just because it's close to easy trails. So in that sense, the Grafton Road site is superior to the Forster Lane site. Impact on trail usage. I think if we have parking signage, then there's going to be increased usage. But if there's no parking signage, then initially there will be very little change, and maybe there will be a gradual increase. And then there's the proximity to recreational activity. The Forster Road site would perhaps encourage more activity at the Rocky Outcrop Beach, perhaps. The rope swing, I think the young kids who go there, who bike there, they're going to go no matter where the parking is. The parking isn't going to affect them at all. The west side or the easy hike, obviously the Grafton Road parking is closer to that. The east side, then that's closer to the moderate hike, and that would be the Forster Lane. But the access to the other trails, or the upper Grafton Lake trails, like All Trails speaks of, I think that if we were to maybe create another parking stall, maybe 4 or 5 parking stalls near the water tower, that would accommodate those people, which includes me. I use the trails at least once a week. It's really quite beautiful. So that pretty much summarizes what I've been thinking about, and hopefully that will help facilitate our recommendation. Okay, I'll stop screen share.
We could leave it up.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, why don't we leave it up? And
Okay.
I'll try and fit my screen to see more people. I see Sue Ellen though. Let's go with Sue Ellen first.
Well, thanks, Chuck, for that and for the organized presentation. I was also on a walkabout with Carla and with a couple of members of the committee who aren't here today. So that was Nicola and Penny, and some members of, well, at least one member of the Environment and Climate Action Committee. So there are more of us who've been out there, and maybe you folks have too. But I'm just going to mention a couple of things that came up in our walkabout. Some bushes that you've referred to, Chuck, what we thought was that it was a woodpecker habitat, pileated woodpecker. We heard them calling. We saw one fly right through there, and woodpeckers are. And there were obviously holes in some of the old alder trees. I mean, it's not. Anyway, they're one of these keystone species for wildlife, and the holes they make are also places where wood ducks and chickadees and other critters, flying squirrels, nest. So I just or use. But I'll just mention a couple of thoughts. One of them is we talked about bike parking because the new multi-use pathway is due to go there, and that's a big effort as a climate change and to help with climate change, and also to help with active transportation, so that more people, more of the citizens on Bowen and visitors, I guess, can participate in the use of the public right of way. Whereas I'm a little, as somebody who lives on Collins Lane, which is another trailhead, as Ben knows, my next door neighbor, we have parking along Collins Lane by the Little Red Church for people going down into Crippen Park, like the other road on the other side of Grafton Lake. What was that? Is it Harding Road?
Harding Road, yes.
Harding Road, yeah. So, you know, I was trying to think of what other parks are there that have an actual parking lot besides Crippen at the Festival Field and Quarry Park. Most of the rest of them, even Cape Roger Curtis, have this sort of what I think of as multi-use parking, where people visiting the homes can use it if there's a party. People at the church, when there's an event, can use it. You know, it's multi-use. It's in the right of way, and it's low key, kind of tucked in. Anyway, we had some discussion about whether creating a car park was the best thing to do beside the new multi-use pathway, and whether we wanted to attract more car use or whether we wanted to encourage people to bicycle. Let's see, what else was I going to say? Oh, and we also talked about the where we might put a toilet and how that might relate to a pit toilet might relate to the parking area. And because people use that area for swimming, and it is a water source lake, and everybody wants it to be clean. So I think our group we're easing towards the Forster Lane parking, and rather than the idea of that being exclusive use, even though it's a public road, you know, for the people who will live there. I don't know how many people are living there now. And I saw, and I wondered if people had thought about, well, anyway, I won't go into this too much. I'll have a chance to talk about this at council, but I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of the input from the others of us that were on a walkabout. So I'm going to stop.
Thank you, Sue Ellen. Carla.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify something that I found out. I realized afterwards, Sue Ellen, about the pit toilet that we were talking about, where that could potentially go, because I think we were thinking the Grafton Road was maybe, you know, that could be like the trailhead where you have the pit toilet and the signage and the maps and everything else. But definitely, I think the pit toilet can't go there. The whole area is within 30 meters. And there isn't supposed to be, like within our land use bylaw, any structures within 50 meters of a water resource. So I mean, we could try to get a variance, but I think we'd probably prefer to put it on Forester Road. So,
well, that's what I meant actually, Carla, is that I think we were leaning towards putting the parking along Forster Road and the pit toilet to sort of have it organized, and that be the trailhead closer to the where the people are going to swim, and where it might be easier for someone only who has a limited amount of walking in them, like my elderly dad, to get somewhere where they could perhaps sit on a bench, but at least see a bit of a view, rather than anyway, to enjoy that rocky point. So the other thing we talked about was the wildlife. Besides the woodpecker, sorry about that, is also the highest place to see frog tadpoles and salamanders and turtles, and even some quite unusual things like freshwater mussels, and that I picked up this summer, a few of them, and I think a predator had been eating them there. But it's a wildlife rich part of the island as well. So of the lake there. So I'll stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue Ellen. I have a comment, but does anyone else have a comment or question for Carla or Sue Ellen? Okay, I was really disappointed not to. I had things happening on both days when there were site visits. I did do the environmental assessment for the Grafton Lake lands, hired by John Reed to do a thorough look. There were also wildlife biologists hired, and you know, a slate of qualified environmental people involved in looking at the proposal in early days. And one of the things that was noted as very important was the frog migration from the woodlands on the slope on the south side of Grafton Lake. So they spend part of their life cycle in the, not woodlands, sorry, in the forest, and move down to the lake for to breed. And I know that we're going to lose a lot of the forested area up on that slope, but it's still, that is the corridor where they move down. And so I feel like that is not the right place for the parking lot on Grafton Road. Not only that, but it is also very close to lake level there. And we don't really know, given our uncertain climate change future, how lake levels may need to be adjusted. So I also feel for that reason, it's not a good place to put a parking lot. And I will second what was already mentioned. And Chuck, thank you so much for that Excel spreadsheet. That was really helpful. And that it just makes sense to tuck it out of the way on an existing extremely disturbed surface. Like it's a road surface with a shoulder. I would like to not see it encroach anymore into any removal of natural vegetation along Forster Road, because it's already very narrow from the lake edge to disturbed land in that section. As you know, as you're going along Forster Road, it's lovely because you can see the lake, but that means that there's not a lot of natural vegetative cover and forest left. So I wouldn't want to see that infringed upon anymore. Having said that, I also don't think that D, I would have to take a closer look, but my impression is that the D site is, there would be more vegetation removal than along the is it ABC or along Forster. So those are some of the thoughts that I've been having. Anyone else? Sue Ellen?
Oh, just one more is I was looking at Chuck's spreadsheet there and thinking, by putting a parking lot there, you'd be having more vehicles turn and go across the multi-use pathway into the parking lot and come out. So you're basically putting in another driveway where you've already got Forster Road, and then the road that will be on the other side of the road going up beside the gardens up into the subdivision. And both of those will be starting to get more traffic. So do we want another driveway there just for safety for cyclists and everybody, all the road users, all the traffic participants? I'll stop. Thanks.
It doesn't seem like the safest place. As well, you know, there's going to be times when someone's trying to turn into the Grafton parking and they're waiting because there's pedestrians on the multi-use trail or what have you, and so then it's blocking up traffic behind it, especially if it's, you know, ferry unloading time. And so yeah, I could see it getting really congested there. We've got the Orchard driveway, then almost directly across is the Forster, and then we'd have the Grafton Lake parking, and then we'd have the road to the community gardens. But we're thinking of them as community gardens right now. That is the slope that is going to be developed and have a lot of traffic coming in and out of there. So when it's built out, so I think it's just much too congested there to add another entrance. And it is a nature reserve. I mean, not a nature reserve, it's a park, but I mean the whole Art Renison Nature Reserve was meant to protect that area, and that is largely why John Reed had a successful proposal for this development, because he took care to say, you know, oh, we're going to protect all around the lake. And that is why the community also supported it. As far as the development goes, it really gave us a lot. And so I would hate to see it be chipped away at. Am I on mute?
No,
Just kidding. Anyway, so I know I will not be supporting the Grafton Road parking lot option myself, and even if it 10,000 doesn't cover our expenses to put it along the roadway on Forster, I think it's a good investment. Yes, Ben.
I just wanted to support what Sue Ellen mentioned earlier about this maybe being an opportunity for people to encourage people to use alternative forms of transit, like encouraging there to be a safe place to ride public transit. The park would be great. Bike parking would be great. I wonder about the need for 11 spots. I mean, if we're worried about fitting something into a budget of $10,000, maybe the problem is that the scope of it is too large. And all the decision making moving forward for this committee and on this island with regards to sustainability has to factor in coming up with different ways to get people places. So I think that should play a big role in how we make these decisions.
I want to wholeheartedly support that, Ben, and I meant to. The 11, I don't understand why we're looking at 11. And as Sue Ellen said, there's only a couple of parks where we have like significant parking, and it's much better to encourage other modes of transportation to our natural areas. Chuck, Jeremy, go ahead. And then Chuck.
Yeah, I just, it may well be that the number of spots is too much, but I do want to point out that a huge number of people who currently use that do so with their dogs, and they're not going to be coming with their dogs on a bicycle. They're going to come in a car, generally, from other parts of the island to walk their dog. So the demand in that respect is automotive related in terms of current use. Yeah, I just thought that's an important thing to mention in terms of the realities of current use and probably expected use as well.
Chuck, I know you're next, but may I just comment on the dog issue? Carla, where are we at with, we've had discussions about whether Renison should be a no dog zone, and whether it should be, and if it's not a no dog zone, then leash dogs. But I thought we were going, there have been discussions about whether. So can you update me and maybe others who don't know?
Sure. So Kathy Robertson, a concerned member of the public, came to speak with our committee as well as the Environment and Climate Action Committee about leashing dogs around Grafton Lake. She spoke to both committees because it was, an environmental concern because of nesting birds, especially birds that nest on the ground. And then she spoke to us more because of the user conflict part of it for trail users. The Environment and Climate Action Committee has met and talked about that issue, and they recommended to council that nature parks be leash on. For the moment, we've just said the Art Renison Nature Park, Quarry Park, and Headwaters Park. That's what ECAC has recommended. They also brought up that they thought perhaps in the summer, dogs might need a place to swim to cool down with our very hot weather these past summers, which is why we invited the Parks and Trails Committee to go on a walkabout with us to see if we could maybe find a spot for that. However, we didn't find a spot that we thought was appropriate for that use, that was, had a more minimal amount of environmental sensitivity where dogs could potentially swim without doing any environmental damage. We didn't identify any sites for that purpose. And I guess that's pretty much it. Also, we're speaking about it next on the agenda if we manage to before we run out of time. So
Thank you.
no problem.
Anyone else? Chuck. Sorry, Chuck. Yeah.
No problem. Yeah, I for one, I used to be a cyclist, but not any longer. So it wouldn't work for me and a lot of other people, probably the vast majority of people. In fact, when all the times I've used the trails, I've never seen a bicycle, locked on a tree or whatever. People come with their cars generally, or maybe their visitors are, take a bus or whatever. But yeah, with respect to the Site C proposal, I guess if we were going that route, I agree with Ben that we may not necessarily need 11, especially the Harding Road site's going to be used still, maybe up to four vehicles. I think I saw 5 there when I was driving by on Saturday. And by the water tower, you can fit probably 4 vehicles there, especially if you extended the shoulder a little bit. So maybe another 6 instead of 11 at the Site C. Although I think if we could somehow mitigate the issue of encroaching on habitat for the Grafton Road site, I think a good argument could still be made. But it depends on how much weight we put into that. And it sounds like the committee is putting a lot of weight into the threat to habitat. So, if that's the case, so be it. But I don't think that I think that it is a safer entrance because of the sight line. Because if we chose or recommended the Forster Lane site, well, cyclists and walkers and runners and so on still have to cross Forster Lane, and I don't know. I guess they would have the right of way, and whoever. So it doesn't matter what entrance. I don't think the entrance really makes a difference on how we choose, whether we choose the Forster Lane site or the Grafton Road site. I think right now what I'm hearing is that the main concern is the habitat encroachment on habitat, and that's unacceptable. So
I think you're right, Chuck. I think the environmental concerns are encroachment on habitat, frog migration. It's known as one of the top sites on Bowen for movement of frogs. So I think there's many environmental reasons not to choose the Grafton Lake parking. And with regards to the 11 spots, if John Reed puts the parking lot in on Grafton Road, then we know we're getting 11 spots. If the municipality is taking that responsibility on with the 10,000 it has on hold, it can be phased in. We could start with 5 spots and see how busy that is, and maybe we don't need to increase it for another 10 years, and then we need more spots, or see what its use is. I mean, right now we don't have that many spots, and the people who go and walk their dogs there and need to take a car are with the shoulder parking along Grafton, granted, but if we replace those shoulder spots with spots along Forster, then at least for the meantime, I think it's enough capacity. Rob?
One of the questions I had, and I don't know if I was looking at the map correctly, just from a user experience point of view, if you're walking the trails, will you be going right by the parked cars if it's the lot off Grafton? Whereas if it's off Forster Road, it seems to me those cars are going to be removed from the trail a bit. So you're not, the user experience, I think, for me at least, would be better with cars parked up on Forster Road than walking almost through a parking lot.
Agreed. All right. Oh, Sue Ellen's got her hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Just two things I forgot to mention was when Penny and Nicole and I and Carla and Will were walking in, three of us walked in. We didn't drive in. We came through the trails. Will and I from over here near the Little Red Church, and Nicola from Kate's Hill. And it didn't take very long. The island is not that big. And I also just want to mention about bikes. Now there are electric bikes on the island, and there are bikes. I saw one this summer. A father and his little daughter was sitting behind him on the e-bike, and they went, down beside Pebbly Beach over here on this side, down that really steep hill. And they parked it, took up hardly any space, and then they went off to go swimming, and then they came back out, and that e-bike just took the two of them zoop straight up that really steep hill. E-bikes are a game changer, and we just haven't seen that many. I've seen e-bikes on the island with two children and an adult on one e-bike, and I think we'll see more of that when the multi-use trail reaches Grafton Lake, which it's supposed to head that direction after we get to Charlie's Lane. It's coming up in the next year or two.
Yeah,
that's all I want to say.
Thank you. Jeremy, maybe this will be our last comment.
Yeah, just one last thing to throw out there is that obviously people are swimming in Grafton Lake, and the vast majority that I've seen drive. Not, of course, you build it, they will fill it, but just to be apprised of that is a consideration in terms of balancing aesthetics, nature, and functionality and expectation.
Quick one, Sue Ellen?
Sure. The young people that go there don't always drive. Sometimes they hitchhike, sometimes they ride their bikes. And you can't tell the people who walk out of the woods like Will and I and Nicola did. You don't see us arrive. We're just there on the trail, so it's not as obvious. Anyway, that's all.
There are lots of families too. I've seen them many times.
Okay. Thank you. Chuck, would you mind exiting screen share, please?
Okay. So I don't have, I can't see an icon to exit the screen share. How do I do that? Oh, perhaps on here.
There you go.
Did it?
Okay.
Just let Steph do it.
Okay. All right. Great. That was really helpful to discuss. So are we, let's see, where are we? Carla, can I give it back to you, or are you're done?
Steph, do we want to make a recommendation to council about the Grafton Lake parking? Steph probably has a couple of notes there. I think maybe
I do, but I wasn't sure which. I don't have a lot because I wasn't sure where it was landing when the conversation was starting. So,
well, we need to kind of gauge the whole committee's view based on what we just discussed. So, Steph, you're screen sharing, are you? I just lost visual on everyone. Oh, perfect. Okay, thank you. So I know Sue Ellen has intonated that she's not in favor of Grafton. I have said the same. Jeremy, Chuck, Rob, and Ben, how are you feeling? Do you prefer one over the other, Grafton versus Forster? Just trying to gauge the room here.
I would go with the Forster Road option. I think it's overall probably the better one. You might get some pushback from the people who live up the hill who are building there, but it is a public space, so.
And I think you have to assume that if they bought there, they know that there's going to be people going to the lake, and there's going to be
Great.
some parking spots for them. So I don't want that to. We're the Parks, Trails, and Greenways Committee, so we're the ones that we're not speaking on behalf of the residents of Grafton Lake. Just good to like put that in our mind, like who are we representing? It's all of Bowen Islanders. So okay, so that's Jeremy. Chuck, how are you feeling?
Well, I do appreciate the fact that we are putting a premium on the environmental concerns and wanting to protect habitat and so on. And I think that does send a clear message to Bowen Islanders where our priorities lie, and encouraging them as well. And so I'm in favor of the Forster Lane site, maybe reducing it to 5 or 6 stalls, and maybe even having a bicycle lock rack, where people can easily lock their bikes beside the last stall or whatever.
Okay, thank you. And I'm getting to Ben and Rob. I just wanted to put one more plug in, is that we're Parks, Trails, and Greenways. And I think it's a benefit for the park at Grafton Lake to not have the parking lot. This is just my opinion, but and trails wise, as people have pointed out, it's a better experience to be going along that trail and not walk through a parking lot. And Greenways, it's much better. There's no greenway along that road anymore. So let's protect the greenway that we have, which connects the upslope forest. It's not a value. It's not just because it's not an old forest and it's full of poplars. It still has a very ecologically valuable
Wildlife corridor.
Yeah, it's a wildlife corridor, and we're Greenways. It's a greenway. And so on this committee, those are the areas we're supposed to focus on. And so that's my take. So Rob, what are you thinking?
Forster Lane for all of what you just said.
Please go against me. Like, I'm not trying to pressure anyone.
No, not at all. That's where I land.
Okay, Ben.
I land the same with and would encourage some mention of infrastructure to support cycling.
Excellent. Okay, so
can I remind? We did get an email from DG,
yeah,
and she supported the idea of I forget the whole thing, but I know she said covered bike parking.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I think ultimately we should make some mention about starting out with a small parking area with the potential to increase it if the demand is really pressing, but to think in terms of small scale, to oblige those who do come by car, but not to really emphasize that and make it lower scale. And of course, the bicycle thing is addition of bike lockup is pretty important. Just a place where you can make your bike lock and secure it.
Okay.
I have DG's email here. She says, instead of so many parking spots, how about less spots and some investment in bike racks covered, so that people who would like to ride there and then walk have somewhere to park and lock their bikes, or a bus stop. We should be investing in more sustainable forms of transportation instead of putting capital into a more car-oriented approach. Over.
Great. Okay, so I think we're all sort of aligned. One thing I will just throw out I'm not sure we want to recommend covered bike parking for a couple of reasons. A, expense. B, if you're biking to the lake and going for a hike, you're getting wet as you're out there and your bike's getting wet. And if you want to put a plastic thing over your seat, then keep the seat dry when you get back. So, you know, trying to use less our taxpayers' money. I think, I'm not sure we need a covered thing. I'm not sure we at least want that in our recommendation to council.
No, I just read it out from what DG said, that's all.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it. I'm just so and
So what do we have for Ben? Sorry, I didn't catch his vote at the top.
I think
I'm Forster Lane, sorry.
So I would want to start the recommendation. I think thank you for putting all these points down. It helps get organized. That we start with probably location of where we recommend and some of the reasons, and then that we think start with a phased in approach, or start smaller, and you know, design so that it could grow as needed. So use the space in a way that, oh, okay, if we do need 4 more stalls down the road. So and then adding bike racks. And then the bus stop, I see that is as a separate, not part of this recommendation, but definitely should be considered a covered bus stop on Grafton, where the bus would stop, people would get out, but that would be separate from this parking issue. Is anyone?
I don't know if it needed to be covered. I think that was, the word covered, I think, was just there from DG's talking about bike parking, but.
Okay. So why don't we leave out the bus aspect? I think that's not, it's a separate issue to what we're dealing with right here. I mean, yes, it doesn't have to be part of our wording of our recommendation, but we could have it in that. Well, okay, sorry, I'm retracting. Rob, you had a point?
I just want to come back to the discussion around the pit toilet. Does that factor in? Is that something that is more favorable with parking at Forster Lane? Do we want to mention that at all?
Yeah, perhaps we could say, and Carla, correct me, but you know, that Forster Road would be a more appropriate spot for a toilet facility in the future than Grafton Lake.
Yeah.
Or Grafton Road parking area.
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay, Carla? Okay.
Yeah, for future installation of a pit toilet.
Yeah, future installation. Okay.
I'm just wondering, Claudia, should we mention anything about the additional parking that people are using already on Harding Road and by the water tower? Do you want to make it more comprehensive or just focus on the one parking area? Because really, ultimately, there's going to be 3 parking areas, and Forster Lane will be the one with the most stalls, if you like. And then Harding Road can accommodate up to 4, but we should address at some point the complaints from neighbors of people parking too close to the mailboxes, so neighbors can't, you know, pick up their mail. That should be addressed at some point.
Yeah.
And then should we recommend another stall, or maybe an extension of the shoulder by the water tower to accommodate, you know, 4 parking spots?
How about okay, remind me if I'm forgetting something you said, but staff, I mean, we do try and make these short, but I think there's a lot of important points we've brought up today, and I think it will help council understand our recommendation if we have these extra points. So one is that if future spots are needed, that the water tower area is a candidate site. One is that I'm not sure. I understand the mailboxes thing, but I feel like aren't we just looking at between making these extra spots on Grafton or Forster because of the pressure that is on Harding at the moment. So I'm not sure I understand that one as clearly to bring it into the recommendation, but
Well, if we wanted to justify just having fewer stalls on Forster Lane, we could point out that there already are, 4 spots of parking on Harding Road and 3 on the near the water tower.
Okay, I like that. Steph, can you grab that information? And that that we should assess in the coming couple of years what the use of the sites at the water tower, and I don't know if we need to recommend an actual number at Forster. Carla, what would you say? Like that we suggest 4 to 6, or
I don't want to go against what the committee has said so far. I think what I would want to do is just spend the money. I think I would probably have to spend the money. So I would just use the $10,000 to make as many spots as we could, especially with the 2 sites where we can like take fill from one site to fill in the other site. It makes a bit more sense to me to do it like that. But I am okay with, if we really wanted to do a phased approach, we could do that too. But I'm just thinking practically that we would just do what we can with
I agree
the budget
about
that we have.
spending the 10,000, but I thought maybe with a bike rack, I mean, it's going
I
to.
don't know that that's that could be incorporated into that budget. It's probably set out what that can be spent on. If it can be spent on a bike rack, which I think it probably could be, because it would constitute parking.
It's parking,
right? That would be my guess.
Motorcycle.
If it can, certainly that's an option, and I think it's a really good one. So
okay. And I did want to maybe just flush out a little. I don't want to get too nitpicky about wording, but whereas habitat encroachment, so whereas the area at Grafton Road is a migration route and it actually is for the northern red-legged frog, which is an endangered species. And other frog species. So the northern red-legged frog, which is an endangered species, as well as other frog species.
And salamanders.
And salamanders. Comma, and that the red alder habitat has evidence of significant wildlife activity, such as pileated woodpecker, which I think is a blue listed species. I can't say that for sure, but with provincial blue list.
Sorry, I missed where's the witch habitat? Was it a kind of tree?
The Grafton Road habitat, let's say that. I said red alder, but let's say that where's the Grafton Road, maybe we have to be more specific, I'm not sure. Grafton Road proposed site instead of habitat. As evidence.
I think you included a blue word, blue.
No, including and take away the and do including pileated, pileated, and then woodpecker use. Comma, whereas, actually, sorry. I was going to talk about the that it's almost at lake level, and there's not. Let's just leave that out. I think there's plenty, unless Sue Ellen, Carla, you think that's.
I think you might just want to put in the point someone made about preserving a better trail user experience, just because
Yes.
you're the Parks, Trails, and Greenways Committee.
Absolutely, and put that higher if you like. But yeah, the
User experience.
multi-use
Disrupted?
pathway, user experience.
Or was it, sorry, was it, who was it?
Yeah.
Bob who was talking about the trail walks through the parking lot or by the parking lot?
Yeah,
Mhm.
something to that.
User experience of the trail user experience.
Yes.
To like a whereas to avoid a negative trail user experience with a parking lot adjacent to the trail. That's not great. Someone can help me out there.
No, but she's got it.
Okay,
I think that's good.
perfect. Thank you, Steph. Um,
And can I make one more little tweak?
yes.
Maybe just that very first one, whereas the area at Grafton Road is an important greenway and migration route. I'm just
Yeah, actually, can we separate
trails, greenways.
them? Yeah, and yes, important greenway, and then that's perfect. Yeah, and migration route for the northern red-legged frog, which is as well as other frog species and so on. Whereas the Grafton Road proposed evidence of wildlife activity, including pileated woodpecker use, and whereas the trail user experience is negatively impacted by a parking lot adjacent to the trail at the proposed Grafton Road location. Whereas Forester Lane would be a more appropriate location for future installation of pit toilets, and whereas there are already 4 parking spots, whoa, this is hard, on Harding Road and 3 by the water tower. And I had another one. Whereas encouragement of non-vehicle use of our parks is a
Climate
priority.
action. Yeah.
Something.
Priority.
Well, is it part of the strategic plan or part of
Yeah.
Is that part of the plan still?
Yeah. Yeah. It is, isn't it, Carla? It is for sure.
Well,
it is.
we don't. It might be part of the parks plan, strategic
Parks
plan.
For the parks plan. Sorry, the parks plan.
I don't remember anything about that in the parks plan offhand, but
To encourage bicycle
More
and
access then.
non-motorized use. Oh, okay. Well, that would be weird. It should be in there.
I
Isn't
think
it more of
just
a
say
municipal?
it's a climate priority,
it's yeah.
climate
Yeah.
action.
Yes, thank you, Steph. She got and then there was something else.
Well, there was something, sorry, I
sorry.
just captured down here that someone mentioned that Forester Lane is already crossing the multi-use path. That's already a
but then don't
disruption, and
ask-
then there'll be a second disruption with the Grafton.
Exactly. And then the one to the upslope buildings and residences. So whereas an already congested area would become potentially more congested with an additional turn and
Driveway.
entryway. And that didn't sound, whereas an already congested area would become potentially more congested. So maybe Steph, you can help me with that one.
Well,
Yeah.
specificity.
It's all under, we don't have so few minutes to do this. It's hard. Have we missed anything that we discussed that we thought was important to signify that we're strongly in? I don't think it's even. Yeah, I think we should be showing that we are strongly in favor of not using the Grafton Road spot as a parking lot.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes, please.
The second bullet, could it be that the parking along Forster Lane be designed?
Yes, let's not call it a parking lot along Forester Lane. The parking area or parking spaces. How about parking spaces?
Okay, all right. Spaces along.
Yes.
Well, then we're not designing something. Oh, sorry. Are you in the top bullet or the?
No, you're right. No, it's good.
Where you were, that was good.
Well, now we're talking about.
Can I suggest that what we're calling the water tower be called the water plant?
Water treatment plant.
Oh.
Could I also, sorry, kind of hop in there? I don't know that there are 3 parking spots by the water treatment plant. Is that, I think Chuck, you might have said that, but there's a gate there. And maybe you're not supposed to be parking there.
Just, there's
Okay.
a no parking area there, the far parking, but the closer parking on this side of the connector trail to the Mid-Island Trail is like shoulder parking for about 3 vehicles.
Okay.
So we shouldn't be referring to them maybe as parking spots. It's just
Could it say some shoulder parking near the water treatment plant?
yes,
Yes.
that sounds, yeah, because they're not necessarily designated spots that the municipality has put in. It's just that there's space to park safely off the road side.
Well, I think John designed it that way.
Is there something from the trail user, from the visitor use side of things, to having no vehicles on the lake side of the trail? You know, I guess that's what the parking lot, never mind. I think you've captured that in the part about going through the parking lot. There might be other things like noise and stuff, but this is a strong recommendation, I think.
Is anyone uncomfortable with how this is being laid out, or yeah, are we good with it? Okay, great. Steph, when you're ready, we can try and read through it.
Want me to read it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Whereas the area at Grafton Road is an important greenway and migration route for the northern red-legged frog, which is an endangered species, as well as other frog species and salamanders, I might do.
Okay, may I stop you there? I just thought of a good little addition there, because it is a greenway for all wildlife, and then the migration route, like they should be distinct. So it's an important greenway for wildlife and a migration route. So like 2 separate things. Thank you.
I'm just gonna take that, which is an endangered species.
Good, yeah.
You want it? Okay.
As well as other.
You want to say other amphibians?
Yeah.
And whereas the Grafton Road post site has evidence of wildlife activity, including pileated woodpecker use.
Could you put significant wildlife activity? And I think that is what the Billy Gowans was the one who did the wildlife assessments there, and I remember that being significant.
And whereas the trail user experience is negatively impacted by a parking lot adjacent to the trail at the proposed Grafton Road location. And whereas Forester Lane would be a more appropriate location for future installation of pit toilets.
Is
And
there a spelling mistake there with Forster? There's no E, I believe, is there? Like Forster.
That's correct, yeah. No, Forster. It's Forster.
I'll have to do a search on that. Thanks, Chuck. Whereas there are already 4 parking spots on Harding Road and some shoulder parking near the water treatment plant. And whereas encouragement,
Sorry, I'm gonna, let's go to that one and just tweak it a bit because what are we trying to say there? That's more in relation to the propose that we are recommending a reduction from 11 sites. So maybe, whereas,
well, then later down, so it's whereas, and then it's gonna match up with that saying that only
Okay.
6 spots be
okay,
created,
Okay.
but it is odd. It doesn't really flow.
That's okay.
But-
It-
yeah. The council
Okay.
understand, right?
Well, maybe put it at the end when we finish. all the pages.
Whereas, the necessity for 11 spots, currently is questionable, there's a better word, is,
Unsubstantiated?
potentially unnecessary. Potentially unnecessary, unless someone has something better.
Currently unnecessary?
It is, yes, currently unnecessary. Thank you. That's good.
Whereas encouragement of vehicular
Sure.
access to our parks is central to climate change mitigation.
It is. Yes, that's
Motion.
fine. Or, yeah. Not central.
I'm just wondering about that because more and more people are buying and driving electric cars. So if most people are driving electric cars to Grafton Lake, then that really wouldn't be an argument.
Right.
I could talk to you more about that, but basically, Bowen is trying to encourage active transportation and alternatives to car
Let's say
dependency.
that. Where is encouragement of active transportation? And can we say, is it part of the,
Climate action strategy, something?
yeah, Bowen Islands? Yeah, climate action. Yeah, good.
Is active transportation in the strategic plan, Councillor Fast?
Our current
all over
strategic
all-
plan is bubbles and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, you know,
Okay,
we
well, it's
do
in
have,
that transportation plan.
it's in the transportation plan for sure, yeah.
And it's also, I mean, Patrick just did a report to council about the active.
Yeah, but we haven't
transportation.
we haven't adopted that yet. That's the active transportation network. We're
Yeah,
doing tons of
okay.
work on this, and it's in the climate strategy. I think we've got what's that one called, Carla? There's 2 of them.
The climate action strategy?
Yes, thank you.
Um,
And it might not be correct to say encouragement of non-vehicular access to our parks is part of the promotion, but non-vehicle.
Can I maybe like a small I know we really like want to put everything in there and make sure that all the points get across, but I almost feel like it's a stronger recommendation if you're not putting in all the other things that like the other committees are like it's in their purview. So I mean, you can disagree with me completely if you would like, and I just that's kind of why I was saying like
Yeah. It's tricky for, I think we tend to because there wasn't an environment and climate change committee until very
yeah, they put it-
recently in our history. So there was all this stuff was under our purview. So I mean, that's fine. We can take out that part.
Oh,
Because
actually,
that is about climate and or sorry, Sue Ellen, what?
why don't we just leave it in? I'm just seeing that it's 9 o'clock and we should just
get going.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's some stuff on the agenda we can push back.
Yeah.
I think we have to.
Yeah, no,
Whereas someone help with the wording there. Someone wordsmith the next one. Whereas in an already congested area would become potentially more congested. Oh, it's fine. Let's just move on.
Yeah.
Okay. Therefore, and Steph, can you read that out?
Therefore be it resolved that the Parks, Trails and Greenways Advisory Committee recommend that parking be located on Forester Lane, not Grafton Road, that parking spaces along Forester Lane be designed to allow for future growth, that cycling infrastructure such as bike parking be installed, that parking be phased with 6 spots to start and more if there is a need, and that if future needs arise, parking potential at the water treatment plant be assessed. Okay, this bike thing I think needs to go. Doesn't belong there.
we do need to say something about bike parking if we. Oh, I see.
She's putting it just in a different order.
Here it says future spaces growth, and then it says phased. So those.
So if you could just move the 6 spots one up one, so that parking be phased with 6 spots, blah, blah, blah. And then that parking spaces be designed to allow for future growth. So we're saying use 6 and then have this, yeah.
Isn't that kind of the same thing though? And more if there is a need, which isn't that the same as future growth?
Yeah, a little bit.
Who cares? We do the same.
Yeah, we don't need be designed to allow for future growth. That's going to be done in the design phase. Yeah. Okay.
That if future needs arise, parking potential at the water treatment plant be assessed, and that cycling infrastructure such as bike parking be installed.
Sounds good.
Except there already is parking that people are using at the water tower or near the water treatment plant.
Additional parking potential. You can just put additional on that second to last bullet. Additional parking potential at the water treatment plant be assessed. That good,
Okay.
Chuck?
Yeah, that's good.
I'm wondering if bike parking should be changed to bike rack, because you can park a bike just about anywhere, but the key thing here is the ability to lock it to something.
That's good. Okay. Can I have someone move this recommendation? First it, what? Sorry. Ben, thank you. Second. Rob, thank you. All in favor? That's everyone. Thank you so much. All right, let me find my Okay, there we go. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, let's just do an assessment before we oh boy, we have so much. What happened?
Ask Carla what's the priority.
Well,
Yeah.
we're already 5 after 9, so I mean,
We'll just move everything.
Is there
under-
anything that absolutely has to be addressed tonight?
no, certainly not.
Okay, that's the perfect. Okay, so
Thanks for the
that was
discussion, everybody. That's the big one. Yeah.
Yeah, it really was a big one. It would be a huge it's not the right place for it. This is good. Okay.
Maybe we can schedule a meeting for December since we have so much unfinished business on this.
Yep, yep, sure.
Okay.
A
I'll send a
Tuesday.
poll. Yeah.
So let's see, we're the
Oh.
7th right now, so we're looking in December. We could do the 5th or the 12th. Does anyone know of any conflicts on either of those Tuesdays?
My
I'm
birthday
away
was
on the
12th.
5th.
Oh.
Okay. Is the 12th getting too close to the holidays? I think we could do it, eh?
I'm off.
I'm away as well.
It's
On
midweek.
both the 5th and the 12th?
I'm
Jeremy?
the 5th. Fifth's
You're-
okay for me.
Sorry, I'm maybe talking over you. You are away the 5th and the 12th, or just one?
Just the 12th.
Anyone else away the 5th or the 12th? We got one away on each. Okay.
I can't do the 12th either.
No, Claudia.
Yes,
Can just because we haven't met since June,
yes.
and you need to be punished for what just happened here tonight. Can you, I mean, like, it's not like a month to month. I think we need to do like a makeup meeting to catch up with what happened tonight. So can we meet on November 28th?
To be punished. Aren't I just
No,
coming
that
up
was
for
a joke.
renewal of this position, and I'm really thinking hard about staying on?
No, I
and-
know, I'm just joking. But what I'm saying is like the 28th seems close, but I feel
The
like
agenda's all
That's
here.
just
fine.
trying to finish this what's happening this agenda.
Let's do the 28th.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was just kidding.
Will we meet in person or by Zoom?
Steph did ask me about that. I'd love to know people's opinions. When she asked me for this meeting, there were COVID rates were starting to increase a bit. We're getting into end of November, December. I think it's prudent to stay on Zoom. I know it'd be nice to sit over some maps, but that's also not what we necessarily have on the agenda. So I would recommend Zoom unless anyone feels really strongly. Okay, Zoom. Okay.
Well done. Thanks for the good discussion, everybody. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
Claudia.
Good
Take
night.
care.
Good night.
Bye.